bonjour, ni hao, sasrikal, salam, namaste. Welcome to my channel. My name is Divya from the Storytellers Pune, and today's story is not for very young children, but for the rest of us. Come along with me on a journey to Madurai, Tamil Nadu, India. So let's go. Grandmother was pretending to be lost in prayer. Her prayer beads were spinning at top speed. That meant that either she was excited or upset. Mother put down the receiver.
Some American girl in his office. She's coming to stay with us for a week.
She sounded as if she had a deep foreboding. Father had no such doubt. He knew that the worst was to come. He had been matching horoscopes for a year. But my brother Vivek had found a million excuses for not being able to visit India, call any of those chosen Iyer girls, or in any way advance father's cause. Father always wore 4 parallel lines of sacred ash on his forehead. But now there were 8. So deep were the furrows of worry on his forehead. I sat in a corner, supposedly lost in a book, but furiously text messaging my brother Vivek with a vivid description of the scene before me. A few days later, I stood outside the airport with my father. He tried not to look directly at any of the American women going past and held up a card reading Barbara. Finally, a large woman stepped out, waved wildly and shouted,
"Hi, Mr. Ayers! How are you?"
Everyone turned around and looked at us. Father shrank visibly before my eyes. Barbara took 3 long steps and covered father in a tight embrace. Father jiggled out of it, and it was too funny to watch. I could hear him whispering.
Shiva, 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 Shiva.
She shouted,
You must be Vijayanti.
Yes, I'm Vijayanti, I said with a smile. I imagined little half-Indian children calling out to me. Suddenly, my colorless existence in Madurai had perked up. For at least the next 1 week, my life promised to be quite exciting. Soon we were eating lunch at home. Barbara had changed into an even shorter skirt. The low neckline of her blouse was just in line with father's eyes. He was glaring at mother as if she had conjured a Barbara just to torture him. Barbara was asking,
You only have vegetarian food. Always.
as if the idea was shocking to her.
You know what goes well with Indian food? Especially chicken. Indian beer.
She said with a pleasant smile, seemingly oblivious to the apoplexy of the gentleman in front of her or the choking sounds coming from mother. I had to quickly duck under the table to hide my giggles. Everyone tried to get the facts right without asking the one question that was on all our minds. What was the exact nature of the relationship between Vivek and Barbara? She brought out a laptop computer.
I have some pictures of Vivek.
She said. All of us crowded around her. The first picture was quite innocuous. Vivek was wearing shorts and standing alone in a beach. The next photo, he had Barbara draped all over him. She was wearing a skimpy bikini and leaning across, with her hand lovingly circling his neck. Then came the next picture, and then the next. And soon I realized that only Barbara and I are the 2 people who are staring at the screen. The rest of the family had dispersed. My father flicked the towel off his shoulder. Now that was a gesture in my family that we had learned to fear. He literally ran out of the door. Barbara said,
It must be hard for Mr. Ayers. He must be missing his son.
We didn't have the heart to tell her that if his son had been within reach, father would have lovingly wrung his neck. My parents and grandmother apparently had reached an unspoken agreement. They would deal with Vivek later. Right now, Barbara was a foreigner, a lone woman, and needed to be treated as an honored guest. It must be said that Barbara did not make it a wee bit easy. Soon mother wore a perpetual frown. Father looked as if he could use some of that famous Indian beer. Vivek had said he would be in a conference in Guatemala all week and would be off both phone and email. But Barbara had these long, lovey-dovey conversations with two other men. One man named Steve and the other one named Keith. The rest of us strained our ears to listen to every interesting word.
I miss you.
She said to both. She also kept talking with us about Vivek and about the places they'd visited together. And she had these pictures to prove it too. It was all very confusing. This was the best play I'd watched in a long, long time. It was even better than the day my cousin had ran away with this Telugu Christian girl. My aunt had come howling through the door, though I noticed that she had made it to the plush sofa before falling and fainting. Father said that if it had been his child, the door would have been shut forever in his face. My aunt promptly reviewed and said,
You'll know when it is your child.
how my aunt would rejoice if she knew about Barbara. On day 5, the family awoke to this awful sound of a dying walrus. We investigated and realized that it was coming from Barbara's bathroom. The bathroom door was shut and the water was running. But far louder was the sound of Barbara crying and throwing up at the same time. My mother and grandmother exchanged this ominous glance. Barbara came out. Her face was quite red.
I don't know why. I feel quite queasy in the mornings.
If she had seen as many Indian movies as I had seen, she'd know why. Mother was standing as if turned to stone. Was she supposed to react with compassion reserved for a pregnant woman? Or with criticism reserved for a pregnant unmarried woman? Or with fear reserved for the pregnant unmarried foreign woman who could embroil one's son in paternity suit? Mother, who navigated familiar flows of married life with the skill of a champion oarsman, now seemed completely taken off her moorings. She seemed to hope that if she didn't react to it much, it might all disappear, just like a bad dream. I made a mental note not to leave home at all for the next week. Whatever my parents would say to Vivek when they finally got a hold of him would be far too interesting to miss. But they never got a chance. The day Barbara was to leave, we got a terse email from Vivek.
Sorry, still stuck in Guatemala. Just wanted to mention another friend of mine, Samira Sheikh, needs a place to stay. She'll fly in from Hyderabad tomorrow at 10 a.m. Sorry for the trouble.
So there we were, father and I at the airport again, with the board saying Samira. At last, a pretty young woman in salwar kameez saw the board, gave the slightest of smiles, and walked quietly towards us. When she did namaste to father, I swear I saw his eyes mist up. She took my hand in the friendliest way and said, "Hello, Vijayanti. I've heard so much about you." I fell in love with her. In the car, father was unusually friendly. She and Vivek had been in the same group of friends in Ohio University. She now worked as a child psychologist. But she didn't seem to do too bad at family psychology either. She took a shawl for grandmother, a sari for mother, Hyderabadi bangles for me. Just some things. I have to meet a professor at Madurai University. It's so nice of you to let me stay, she said. Everyone cheered up. Even grandmother smiled. At lunch, she said, "It's so nice. When I make sambar, it comes out like chole. And my chole tastes like sambar." Mother was smiling.
Oh, just watch for 2 days. You pick it up.
Grandmother had never allowed a Muslim to enter the kitchen.
No.
But now mother seemed to have taken charge and decided she would bring in whoever she felt was worthy. Samira circumspectly stayed out of the puja room. But on the 3rd day, I was stunned to see father inviting her in and telling her which idols had come from his father.
God is one.
He said. Samira nodded sagely. By the 5th day, I could see the thought forming in the family's collective brains.
If this fellow had to choose his own bride, why couldn't it be someone like this Samira?
On the 6th day, when Vivek called from the airport saying that he had cut short his Guatemala trip and was on his way home, all had a million things to discuss with him. He arrived by taxi at a time when Samira had gone to the university.
So, how was Barbara's visit?
He asked blithely.
How do you know her?
Mother asked sternly.
She's my secretary. She works very hard. She'll do anything to help.
He turned and winked at me. Oh, I got the plot now. By the time Samira returned home that evening, it was almost as if her joining the family was the elder's idea.
Don't worry, beta, about anything. We'll talk to your parents.
On the wedding day, a huge bouquet arrived from Barbara. The bouquet had a note which said, "Flight to India, $1,500. Indian kurta, $5. Americ to throw up, $1. The look on your parents' face, priceless. Love, Barbara." The name of the story is Arranged Marriage, and I don't know who wrote this story. I have looked in the internet and I could not find the writer, but a huge shout out to him or her, whoever it is. If you know the name of the writer, do let me know. This story was introduced to me by Peter from the Storytellers a long time back. But when I wanted to present the story to you, I was not able to find the script. It is because of my friend Manasi Zoshi, now Manasi Anand, that I'm able to bring this story to you. So huge shout out to her. She's also a YouTuber and makes some incredible videos on wellness and fitness. So do check her out. When it comes to the story, I want to know what you guys think about it. You see, in a way, Vivek and Samira deceived their parents to get married. So what do you think? What they did was correct, or could they have done this in any other way? Just let me know your thoughts. Your comments, I love reading them. Share this story with people who you think would enjoy it. And I'll see you again soon next Monday with another video. Till then, you take care. Goodbye.